In the last video, we had just travelled 16 hours on the sleeper train. It would have been 19 hours, but we had to get off the train early, at 5:40 in the bloody morning. The reason for this is some inconsiderate person booked our sleeper cabin from Budapest to Vienna. So there we are, we had to get off in Budapest. We then had to wait for the next train from Budapest to Vienna. You wouldn't think that was so tough, however that wasn't till 8:40 AM. So this meant quite a long time waiting around, and though this is a lovely train station, nothing was open, so it wasn't really that great at 5:40 in the morning. Anyway, that's enough moaning. Now it's time for the last few Interrail train journeys to get us to Prague, where we can meet up with my dad and my brother. But we'll get to them later. As the hours passed, the train station came to life, and soon we would be on our 8:40 train to Vienna. This train was pretty relaxed and we actually got a seat and got to chill out. However, the next train from Vienna to Prague didn't really go the same way. This one was jam-packed and we had to stand for about 4 hours. Not how I wish to end our Interrail journey, but you know, that's how it goes. After that, we would roll into Prague. Not really sure what that guy's on about. Before we get to the Prague stuff, we thought we'd give you a few tips, because 5 weeks of travel and 20 trains later, it does definitely teach you a few things about Interrail. Tip number 1, seat reservations. These aren't always necessary, but the Interrail app will tell you when they are mandatory. So you can either wing it, like I did here, or reserve a seat, because they only cost between 3 and 11 euros. Sometimes up to 34, but this is only for the Eurostar. Later, I tried my luck again, and it really didn't go so well, as one of these trains was completely rammed and I ended up sitting on the floor for hours. Tip number 2. If possible, leave plenty of time to catch your connecting trains. Though the Interrail app can be useful, it does miss off crucial information, which is the platform numbers. This can leave you in a bit of a panic if you need to find your next train and have no idea where it's going to go from. To combat this, we used good old Google Maps and a cool Czech website that we found called České dráhy. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. Both of these sometimes show you the platform number, and the České dráhy website also shows you additional information about the train that you will be travelling on. This includes information such as whether the train that you're travelling on is wheelchair friendly, whether it has a restaurant car on board, or whether you can plug in your laptop. Tip number 3. Just because you have the rail pass, don't feel you're tied into using it every day. Sometimes it works out cheaper to buy a separate train ticket, or you could travel by bus or minivan. Tip number 4, buy snacks. Sometimes these trips are really long and the trains don't always have a restaurant cart. Tip 5, download your tickets to your phone. Most of the trains have Wi-Fi, but some of them don't, so it's best just to have it downloaded to your phone anyway. Tip 6, sometimes it just makes more sense to book an Airbnb or a hotel closer to the train station. Though it's tempting to get a cheaper hotel further away, you tend just to lose those savings by getting the Grab or an Uber to that place. And finally, tip 7. When riding on the sleeper train, always pick the bottom bunk. This is because it moves around a lot less and you'll get a far better sleep. And yeah, I know I didn't get to 10 facts, but I'm not going to fill it up with random things just to make it a nicer number. And now, on with the show and off to Prague, where I find my dad has brought me the best gift anyone can receive once they've been travelling for a while. And then he promptly breaks the chair. What did you do, Sam?
What happened?
Did you... Dad, how did you... Sam, why did you break the chair?
To be fair, I've been making fat jokes at Dad all day, and now No,
This takes
there's
the
no,
gift
there's no
biscuit.
wrong with that, Jen.
No, there's nothing wrong with you.
There's nothing wrong with Jen Howell.
As my family were now around, it was time for us to do some uncharacteristically touristy things. Like take a river cruise. So touristy that this is how they make their staff dress. Poor guys. The trip that we took was called Prague's Venice. This is probably due to the fact that this tour can go down some smaller parts of the river due to the much smaller boat. This was a lovely little tour, it only takes about 45 minutes, and you even get a free beer. You can also get a water if for some reason you don't want a free beer. Touristy thing we did was to get the hop-on, hop-off bus, and our bus really didn't look like the bus on the flyer. I'm not sure which bus tour Dad ended up choosing, however, prices start from about 24 to 36 euros. The buses include an audio tour, which teaches you interesting facts about Prague. My dad didn't really agree though. You learning some information, Father?
No.
I won't listen.
I guess one of the plus points of getting that bus is this way you get to avoid the hundreds of steps to reach Prague Castle. And I have done this before, because I have been to Prague before. One thing I noticed that was new was the safety measures to get into the castle grounds. I mean, these weren't here last time. How long have these been here? And why were they introduced? If anyone knows, leave them in the comments. After the castle, we stopped off at a cafe and instructed Dad about the weird beer types you could get in Prague.
What's your opinion of that beer?
Not a beer.
That evening, we would just drink some normal beer, which of course led to us dancing around like idiots. Later on, we would meet a strange man covered in lights who would like to cover people in rats and cats, as you do.
Oh my god!
How do you feel about this?
Oh, I feel my head. Oh, hey.
Dad was having none of it and ran away.
Dad, are you scared of the cats and the rats?
Oh no.
You're not.
The next day, we ate breakfast at the James Dean Diner. And for some reason they added a very strange thing to our table. Latex gloves. Maybe it was a sign that I needed to dye my hair again. I know. The meal later that day would have some weirder options.
Young piglet.
But I didn't go for that. I just went for goulash instead. And later, to wash it down, I introduced my family to the joys of bekarovka. It's disgusting. You really must try it.
Don't sip it if you want.
Quite, it sticks in there for a while.
I can tell my brother really loved this drink. But as soon as it went in, it kind of came out. Thankfully not on the floor or anything. Though I probably shouldn't have traumatized my little brother like this. It's what all siblings do, surely. However, probably the main reason not to drink that night was that my family were flying home the next day, and we would also be getting up early to catch our final train to Vienna Airport, where we would catch our flight to Bangkok. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and click the notification button because that lets you know when the next video is up. Because as you probably noticed, I haven't figured out any kind of schedule yet. But I'm sure I'll figure that out. Maybe, probably, don't know.